Noah, very good to have you on here, sir. We've been trying to get this together for a while now, and it's finally happening. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It slipped through the cracks accidentally.
but we're here now. We're filling the
Yeah.
gaps. We're filling the cracks. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're redoing the whole pavement. Yeah,
It's good. It's good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I caught you guys the other night. I want to say Friday night,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
at the Permanent Record
Yeah.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a nice spot.
yeah, and it gets crowded, which is good in a way.
Yeah, that was like our first like very crowded LA show, which was nice.
Yeah,
You know.
right. Everybody's paying attention, which is always good.
Yeah. Was that happening?
Yeah, I
People
the
paying
the
attention?
people that I made sure everybody around me was paying attention. I said, hey,
Good.
sit
Good.
up straight.
Was anybody making out? You
I
see
not
anybody macking?
not that I saw, but
That's
it could
been
have
a
been happening.
that's been a trend on this last tour we went on that a bunch of people are making out while we're playing, which is kind of cool.
That's cool. Have you ever made out while watching a band?
Probably. Like, let me think. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Do you recall the band or the show that you were seeing?
I think it was a Pharaoh Sanders show. I think it was that, or it what is, God, I don't know. It was so long ago that I like had that like kind of like young new love sort of vibe, and like didn't really care about PDA that much. And I feel like as you get older, you kind of are like more aware that you don't personally want to see people making out, and then you realize that you should probably not do that in like a full public setting.
Yeah. So are you advising against making out at the Color Green shows?
No, no, I think people should make out at Color Green shows.
Okay,
I'm
so
down.
only make out at the Color Green shows. And
Only at
if if anybody
nowhere
else is
else.
playing before or after, don't make
Not
out during
allowed.
their sets. No, just Color Green sets. Got it. These are the rules.
No, I'm actually for it. I think it's cool. It's cool seeing um, people be affected by music that makes them feel like affectionate. I think that's really sweet, and yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
And you have to buy merch if you do make out at the shows, right? That is the rule.
Yeah, that's the rule.
Right.
And you have to
Okay.
buy like a lot of it. You can't just buy like a sticker. You have to buy like everything.
The whole shebang. Right. Oh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's the make out bundle deal, which I thought was
The
really
makeup
good.
bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the makeup bundle is a good deal.
When did you start to pick up the guitar? When did that kind of happen? Just kind of starting from the beginning.
I think that so I started playing guitar when I was 5 or 6 years old. Um, I studied. My parents kind of were the type of parents where they were kind of like putting me into different situations and seeing what I was into. I always loved music. My mom had this like funk compilation called Pure Funk that I was like obsessed with, and it had like Cool in the Gang and like Parliament and like Earth, Wind and Fire and like all this stuff. Brick House was a big hit for me when I was like 4 or 5.
Still is a
Um,
hit. Yeah, definitely.
Still is an incredible song, but like I really gravitated towards music, and my mom and both my parents are music lovers, not musicians. My dad's a pharmacist and my mom's a therapist.
Close enough. Close enough. I mean, those are the adjoining
Yeah,
occupations.
pharmaceuticals and therapy, it kind of
Mhm.
creates, you put that together and you just breed a musician.
That equals music. Everybody knows that, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I started playing when I was 6, um, and I was playing like classical guitar, and I was like reading music at a very young age, and yeah, there's like a picture of me playing like my first performance in kindergarten for like a talent show, and I'm dressed up as a pirate and I'm playing, I'm like I have the whole like, classical guitar like stance and everything.
Pirate
Um
style, sure.
yeah, pirate style. And then yeah, and then it kind of, like moved into like being obsessed with like Angus Young, and I started taking like some guitar lessons from this guy Ben Zinn in Omaha, where I'm from, and yeah, that's kind of where I started. So I've been doing this for a long time, you know.
Right.
Um, and I've ebbed and flowed. I ebbed and flowed for a little bit out of the guitar. Like I played drums for a really long time. I was in this band called the Mystery Lights in New York for a little bit.
Okay.
Um,
I remember that band. Yeah.
yeah, and and then like I think there was a certain point where I was like made the conscious decision where I was like, I'm not a drummer, even though I was drumming for a lot. A lot of time in between, like I started picking up the drums when I was like in middle school up until like probably like 19 or 20, 21. I was like playing a lot of drums, but I was also like playing guitar like kind of on the side. And then I kind of made a conscious decision around like 20 or so that I was like, I'm a guitar player.
Mhm.
And that's like kind of like when I started taking it a little bit more seriously.
So
Um,
you never put it down in those years. I mean, it was always in the
it
background.
was always there. Like I was always playing music in one way or the other, you
Mhm.
know.
Was there like a reason for that, or did you just realize
I
that
th-
you
I
came
think it
back
was
to it?
just like I wanted to I wanted to I mean, drumming is so cathartic and I liked doing it a lot, but I wanted to like have more of a voice and I wanted to write songs and I wanted to like, like explore. Like I'm obsessed with guitar players and like so like just like I don't know, just becoming a I'm more obsessed with melody than rhythm, but I love rhythm too. I don't know, it's just like this it was just like kind of like this like I don't know what there wasn't really like a signified moment. It was just kind of just like happened, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Something chemically in my brain was just like, "Yo, you're a guitar player, not a drummer," you know.
Right.
Yeah.
What were some early influences before the drum phase for guitar when you started kind of expanding on your musical palette?
Like like in like high school and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, in Omaha, there is like this really amazing punk and DIY scene. Um, like there's bands like that are around still today. Like there's that band Bib, and then there's like the David Nance band, and also all like the Saddle Creek stuff. But I feel like the community that I was in was probably the most inspiring thing. Like being 14 years old and like seeing like Dave Nance play and like Simon Joyner play and like all these like kind of like culty Omaha musicians that are like now getting some recognition, which is really sick. But like the people I was around were the most inspiring. There's a band called Kafka and Coup that was like a thing. Um, Obviously, like the Bright Eyes thing, and like there was this band called Digital Leather that are friends of mine that are on like Ghana Records, or like a synth punk band. Like all these people and then there was like metal bands and hardcore bands. But the cool thing about Omaha is like everybody there was like maybe like 30 of us. And like everybody was playing in everybody's band. There wasn't like a pocket. There wasn't different pockets. It was like Nathan from Bib, he's like fronts a hardcore a band. He had a band that sounded like cap and jazz, and then he also has this like country thing that he does. And like it's just like, everybody's expressing themselves in different modalities instead of like you know one person's like I'm a punk and I only play punk music, or like like there's like so many like a mass array of different things going on and like different experimentations and stuff like that. But that I would say, and I always say this, that those people are probably the most influential people on me. But like I have my guitar heroes and stuff like that, but I feel like that always changes.
Right, right.
But the thing that doesn't change is like the people that influence me that I'm like friends with, like my community and like, and I still, today I'm still inspired by the entire community around me. Like there's so many amazing musicians and talented people in LA and all across this country that I'm like luckily to get to call my friends and also like get to like rub shoulders with musically and stuff like that.
Right. That is really interesting that there was a huge community at that by 30 people. Like that's nothing to shake a stick at right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I moved from Omaha to New York. I went to college at the new school. I studied ethnomusicology, um, and I dropped out with a semester left because I wanted to not write about music. I wanted to like I was like writing all these like fucking papers about these like lived experiences that these like musicians had. And I was just like, I don't want to write about this. I want to like do it. I want to like live it. And I got like some opportunities like Mystery Lights needed a drummer and I was drumming for them and we were touring a lot and like I just kind of couldn't balance school and touring. It was really hard. Like I tried, like and like I was playing in like other bands, and I'd be like, on tour in Japan, and everybody would be like out like fucking experiencing Japan, and I'd be back at the like Airbnb or wherever we're staying at, like finishing a research paper, and not like
Like a good student does, right?
trying my best. Obviously, I mean, I fucking went through a doozy of different talk toxin intake situations and stuff while living in New York that maybe kind of deterred me from being a good academic, but I was trying. But yeah, so I was just like, fuck this. Like I don't want to be an academic. I want to like be a musician and I want to be like an artist, I guess. And like I said about the guitar playing thing, I feel like there's like a lot of like acceptance in what you are, just accepting the fact of like what you are instead of like trying to like deny it or like do something else to like deter from your like true nature of yourself. Like if you just accept it, it makes living a lot easier, I think.
Right.
When I
Right.
accepted the fact that I was this, and like I also made a conscious decision when I was like 23, 24, that I just like accepted the fact that I was a musician and that's what I do. It made just it made things more difficult and also made things more like easier on the self of just like my like, you know, life trajectory.
Right. There's always a flip side of that coin, whichever side you take.
Yeah.
Real quick, going back to the to your process of doing school while in Japan, for instance, did you get a good grade on that on whatever you were working on during that time?
Dude, I don't remember. I have no idea. I was doing a weird thing where like I was like studying folk art and like music. Like I was studying Appalachian banjo music and like the like cross, like I was basically studying banjo music and like the whole lineage of that and like all the folk stories that like intertwine with it, like murder ballads and like tracing the roots of murder ballads back to like Britain and like tracing the banjo music back to like palmland music from like Senegal and like like doing a lot of that stuff. And then I had a minor in they had a minor program in occult science. So I was like also like writing papers about like, you know, weird Thelmite occultists and like the music they were making. And there's some really cool fucking people that are ethnomusicologists. There's this Matt Marble or Matt something. I can't remember his name right now, but he wrote a really great biography about like the inner working spiritual world of Arthur Russell. And he has a thing called the American Museum of Parapsychology or something like that. I'm probably butchering the names of all these things, but there's some really sick people that are like doing kind of like if I chose a different path, I would probably be in that whole world of doing
Right.
that. But I'd also am too stupid to like like actually like fulfill that, I feel like. But yeah, there's some cool shit within
Hmm.
that world.
I mean, but you were writing papers in Japan. I mean, you were doing
Yeah.
a good job of trying to get it done.
Yeah, I was trying my hardest. I remember I was in like a sculpture class and I like I hated going to school too. That was like another thing about it. But I remember I there was like a final project for this sculpture class, and I did an institutional critique where I was protesting the institution of a college, and my sculpture was an empty chair in the class that I was supposed to be in. So I just stopped going to the class. And like the teacher was like, "That's cool, you can do that." Like I was like, "Cool, word." Like I just don't have to, and I got like an A in that class. Like it's just like I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, and then I remember I came in the last day for like the final grade or whatever. Like I thought I had to be there. And I walked into the class and the teacher looked at me and she was like, "What are you doing here? You got to leave." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Sick."
That's on you. That's on you for that's a screw up on your part. You should have
Yeah.
known better not to show up to class. Come
Yeah.
on. That was already established.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you're throwing her off and you're throwing the whole class off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So one more semester and then you would have finished.
Yeah, but I kind of hold on to that where if my whole life comes crashing down, I can just go back to school.
It's still a
It hasn't
possibility. So
happened yet. It hasn't happened yet.
right, and I like that school is the backup to
Yeah.
music, not vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're in New York and you've quit school. Was this around the time that you've decided that okay, I am in my heart a guitarist? Was this kind of
Yeah.
happening
Like
simultaneously?
I think it was more like I'm a musician, so it was like this period in time where I was like whatever I got offered, whatever the band was, or like I just wanted to play music with people. So I did a plethora of shitty gigs and a plethora of bad tours. And but through that I also got to meet a lot of great people and, build like a community. It's great touring now where I get to like go to like some place like Oklahoma City or like Birmingham, Alabama, and I like have friends there, that like are supportive and are also within the community and stuff. So it's cool. Am really glad I did that. But I went on like a few tours with some bands and yeah. Yeah, and I was just doing that for a while, like kind of just like bouncing in between subletting my room and going on tour, and then I kind of yeah, and then I pandemic happened, like right. So on when the pandemic was happening, I like or right before it, I was in LA with a band, and I needed to get back home to New York. And my friend Ben Cook, who has that project Young Gov, was like, hit me up, and he was like, I need a bass player. Okay, let me back this up a little bit. He was like, initially, he asked me to do the entire tour, and I said no because I was touring too much, and I was like, I need like a break. It was like a full U.S. tour, and then I saw the Robbie Robertson documentary in New York, and I walked out of the theater, and I got a text from him asking me to do half of the tour from LA to New York, and I was like so hyped on just like watching dudes play music on a movie screen that I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. Like it'll work out perfectly. Like I'm gonna be in LA and then I'll just tour back home. And then on that tour is when everything shut down and I moved to Taos, New Mexico with half of Young Gov, and we lived there for a year. And that's kind of where like, Color Green kind of it kind of started there in New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now at this point, did you want to move out of New York? Were you kind of done with that
Yeah, I
time
mean,
in that place?
I was like, like went through a rough breakup and kind of was selling pot for a job on a bike, and
Look,
I
and
kind of
and,
was
and and who hasn't done that? Like that's
yeah,
just
it was
that's
a good job.
it's a
It was
summer
great.
gig.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was like biking like 40 miles a day, and I was like in shape and eating tubs of ice cream every night because I could.
Yeah.
And but you know, it was hard on the body. And a friend called me and asked me to be in his band. He has a band called they have a band called Surf Curse, and I was like, okay, like I'll do that. They're like, you'll get this much money, and I was like, yeah, I'll fucking go on tour and do that. And that ended up being like a you know a thing that's still constant today.
Right. So who were you in contact? Was it Nick? Was it Jacob? Who were
It
you?
was Jacob. Jacob called me.
Shout out to Jacob Rubeck, and if you haven't
Yeah,
listened to those episodes, please go and listen to him.
Jacob
He's
rocks. I
a
love Jacob and Nick. But anyway,
fantastic man.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I had this band that I was playing guitar in called Navy Gangs in New York, and we played a show at Surf Curse. And then, like, you know, we kind of all got along and stayed in touch. And Jacob just called me one day while I was like riding my bike selling weed, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to be in the band and go on this tour?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then that turned into like me being in the band, you know, like 5 years later. Yeah, so that kind of helped me get out of New York and like move over here.
How familiar were you with them even before playing that show with your band?
Not at
And
all. Not at
really,
all. Yeah,
wow.
I didn't know anything about them, and I didn't really know anything about what I was gonna what I was gonna get into. You know, I just kind of was like, I'm gonna do this one tour because that's kind of what I was doing. I was just doing like one tour, and then it was fun. We had a really great time, and you know, like we're playing big shows, and it was cool.
Yeah.
It was
What year are you jumping in at for with Surf Curse?
that was in 2000. Let me tell you. So like 2019
2019.
is when
Okay.
that. Yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, that was the whole thing. And then before that though, like I'm trying to like remember like what was going on. The Color Green EP was recorded in 2018, so it was before all that
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
Um,
Okay.
and that was recorded just as a like it wasn't even called Color Green. Like me and Corey Madden, the other guy in Color Green, like we just kind of were we worked together, and we found out that we had an affinity for like chill music too, like things that weren't loud. Like we bonded on that band Acetone really hard, and we were
Okay.
like do something like this. And I was like, cool, I have like some country songs. And he's like, cool, me too. And like but we were like, but let's not be a country band. Let's like do something else with it. And it ended up being that EP. And then fast forward, I was playing that EP to Ben Cook and Tony Price, who Tony runs this awesome label called Maximum Exposure, while we were driving to Taos. And they're like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. Like, we want to put it out. And I like called Corey and I was like, it looks like this thing is real. We have to figure out a band name. And then, you know, it all just kind of started to snowball. And, you know, it's so cool. I've even the little things that we've gotten to do as this band, like I feel so grateful for. And it's so like, you know, like I didn't have any expectation for anything, and it's like all the things that we've gotten to do so far is like I feel so grateful for it happening, you know, like. And it's like I feel like I haven't even like asked for any of it, and it's just like kind of come to. And it's really nice. It's nice, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. From an outside perspective, I would agree with that. With your with your
Yeah.
logic there. I think it's sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this Color Green EP, was this done in while you were in New York still?
Yeah, it was done in New York. I recorded it on a Tascam 8-track in the basement. I was subletting the Mystery Lights lead singer's basement studio, and he had like a drum set in there. And it was just, you know, I was working my job, and on my off days, we were working on this EP, and it was a lot of fun. And I, you know, self-recorded, self-produced, you know, had a lot of like various people come and play on it and help out with it. And yeah, it was a really just like easy. Like I remember like when we found the drum sound with like all like the we had like a compressor and stuff. Corey was just like, don't touch anything. The drums sound really good. Like, there was a lot of like trial and error and stuff and, you know, recording on tape. But yeah, it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
And you said that you and Corey met at just through other people or you said at
We
work?
worked together. We worked together. We were scooping coffee beans into a bag. That was our job, just all day, scooping beans into a bag and then folding them up. And then, the next one would come and you would do that. And then you would also drive around and deliver the coffee to like various businesses and stuff. So, yeah, we just, spent a lot of time doing that together and like hanging out. And, it was cool.
That's a good way to meet a fellow musician.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
And
putting
we knew
beans in a
each other.
bag
We also knew each other before, like in the music scene and stuff, but didn't really like start bonding until then.
until bonding over beans.
We bonded over beans.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Which is,
I
I
think
mean, classic.
being miserable with another person forms a bond.
Right. So you were familiar that he was a musician and he was familiar that
Yeah,
you were.
I saw him play guitar a few times and I was like, who is this crazy guitar player? Like it was like I always kind of wanted to play music with him. So it was like cool. Yeah.
So the original kind of ideas that you had, or you had some ideas for songs, did any of those wind up on the EP
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the subsequent album as well, or
The album was more the album, there was one or two songs that were going to be for the EP that ended up on the album, but a lot of the album was written out because Corey came out to when he heard I was in New Mexico and we were making music. Like we did the Color Green, wrote the Color Green EP. I mean, sorry, Color Green LP out in New Mexico, and I helped with the Young Gov 3 and 4. We all like were working on that out there, and then our friend Bobby Love Song was also doing stuff out there as well. So we were all making a bunch of music out there, and he caught wind of that, and he came out, and he just put out his Corey just put out his first solo record on Worried Songs, and a lot of that stuff was also kind of being done out in New Mexico. Yeah.
so I mean, and this is what are we talking about here? What year is this?
2020.
2020. Okay. Um, now were you surprised when you got like it started getting some traction? Like, hey, let's put this out on a actual record label.
I mean, it's just, I guess so. Like, it's cool. I'm like, I don't ever know what any of this stuff means. So I was just like, kind of like when we put out the EP and like there was people who were like, you know, fucking with it. I was like, this is cool. Like, it's cool. Let's see. I just seeing how far we can take it.
Mhm.
And putting in a lot of work too. But yeah, it's been like I was surprised that people were listening to it. I was like, whoa, cool. Like this is sick. That's nice. Like it's just really sweet that like people are listening,
Mhm.
you know? And I don't know, just I have such a removed sense of quality of the music because I'm like making it. I like, don't understand. I can't tell if it's good or not. I usually think it's bad. So like it's like I'm like I'm like, oh cool, like people like this. That's weird. No, but just kidding. But yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, but as we know, it's make out music, so
Yeah, it's making music, so it makes
it's
them
make out
horny.
music. Right, right. It
Yeah.
gets people going. After working on the LP, did you go back to work on Magic Hour, that album with Surf Curse?
Yeah, let me think. Um So we recorded, yeah. So the LP was made, and then all the crazy TikTok stuff started happening with Surf Curse. That was also this other thing, like I've been kind of saying, like not asking for anything, just like things are kind of like thrown at us and me, and so that happened to them, and I had nothing to do with any of the TikTok songs or anything like that. But
I'm pretty sure
um,
I saw you posting with the freaks on it. I'm pretty sure I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. I think
yeah,
you have all these ghost accounts that are just boosting those numbers. Yeah.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm a stream farmer.
And I didn't even know about the term, but it's funny that you do. I mean, this just solidifies my kind of
Solidified,
ideas.
the controversy around me.
Right.
No, um, uh, but yeah, no, that happened. What it was kind of cool. Like Nick and Jacob got flown out to New York to re-record Freaks because they didn't have the files for it, and Atlantic Records needed them. They got signed to Atlantic Records, which is crazy. But and then they were like, I don't know, we got flown out too, or we wanted to come out, and they were like, we have extra studio time, so we started like writing in Electric Lady in Studio B, and I was like eating a bunch of mushrooms and like just like kind of like being like, this is crazy. I never thought I would be able to like be in this room. Like this is nuts, you know? And yeah, and then it kind of like that snowballed. Like we were like, we want to record a record here, and Atlantic was backing it, and we worked with Chris Cody, who's awesome. We got to record in Studio A, and we made a record in there, and it was awesome. It was so much fun.
How long was this process from originally getting out there to kind of hashing stuff out for this
Well, we went
album?
out there for a few weeks, and Nick had a few songs, and Jacob had a few songs, and we did that, and then we went back to LA, and then we found out that there was a record deal, and then we're like, oh shit, we got to write, and then we like wrote in the practice space for like 2 months or something, 3 months, kind of figured out what the album was going to be, and then flew back out and did the thing. So I think in a total of time, it was maybe like 5 months or something like that from like
Yeah, not
the
a
to,
quick turnaround at all. Yeah, it's kind of lengthy
yeah,
process there. Five
yeah.
5 months to get.
Is it quick? Is that quick?
I find it seems really quick.
Yeah, that was a fun thing to do, and I got to do other cool stuff with them, and also like in between that, I got to like do a bunch of color green stuff, and you know, yeah, it's been crazy.
It seems crazy.
Yeah,
Now when you were starting to perform with them or during that time, that was when Freaks was really jumping off on
yeah,
all the social platforms.
yeah.
What was that like seeing a crowd, flip out?
I mean, it blew my mind every night.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is insane. This is like what I was. It's such a crazy phenomenon. That's all I can say about it. It's just like how mind blowing it is to see a crowd of people fucking. They hear the first riff of the song and they all fucking whip out their phones, and there's all these like foam lights on you, and you're just like, no. Like it's cool. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Right. And I mean, it just reached a billion streams recently.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's insane.
It's in the billionaires club.
A billion
Yeah,
streams.
dude, Nick and Jacob, they know what they're. I don't know. They know how to connect with people. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
it
really,
is. It is
I'm really
really awesome.
stoked. I'm really stoked for them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
They deserve it.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
hard workers.
yeah.
And I
Very
think
hard
that
workers.
that is like like when music, you know who works really hard. Like, and it's everybody that I know works really hard, and it's awesome. And I'm like championing everyone that you know regardless of what they're doing. Like, it's like music is a healing force, and it's just so sick to be within all of it and like be around it. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah. Going back to the point of like seeing a bunch of kids' phones up, recording Freaks, playing it live. How do you feel when when you notice multiple people filming you at the same time? Does it kind of weird you out a little bit, or do you
I
enjoy it?
I go full disassociative mode. Where it's like mind left body and I'm just like whatever.
Do you record things? Do you document a performance when you see it?
um
I,
Sometimes.
and of course, when you're not making out, of course, when you're not
Yeah.
doing that, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. It depends on what, like, if it's like my homies playing, I'm gonna fucking snap a shot of them, doing their thing because I think it's sick. But it depends on who it is. Like I like saw but like I saw Neil Young at the Greek here in LA, and I didn't film that because I was just like so like you know, I'm like very attentive when I'm like going to a show that I want to like be really attentive at. I usually don't film it.
Yeah. You just want to be there in the moment.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Did he get mad at you for not filming it?
No, but I
Oh.
have filmed Neil Young before at other shows that I've
All
seen.
right, so you already documented it. You already had
Yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah.
I've already documented him. I mean, if someone's doing a wild guitar solo, I'll probably film it.
Right.
I saw that band Dunion. Do you know that band?
No.
Dunion. There's like Scandinavian area.
Yeah.
But the guitar player and oh no, it wasn't even Dunion. It was this band Tradgras Oxenar, which is like this like
Yes.
60s like Swedish band.
Right.
But they played like the guy from Dunion was playing guitar in the band, and I remember seeing him play, and I was like, this guy's style of soloing is so wild that I have to capture it. And
Mhm.
like I just like I'll capture stuff like that because if I'm like really moved by something and I want to revisit it, and this was literally like I still remember this, and this was like in 2017 or 2018, but I'm
Trod.
a freak for guitar players. I'm obsessed. It's so disgusting.
So, flashing forward through this Magic Hour album, did you go back to Color Green after working on that record?
Yeah, I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between that. Um, and right now too, it's cool. Like Nick is doing his Current Joys thing right now, and it's so Surf Curse is kind of this thing happens with Surf Curse and Current Joys that they kind of like one's more in the forefront, and then the other one is like you take a break from that, and then they do the current. Nick does the Current Joys thing, so we're on the Current Joys thing at the moment. So I have all this time to do color green stuff right now, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Feels good to be really focused on the band and the project.
Right.
You know,
Uh,
yeah.
so if this journey out west to New Mexico never happened, do you think that you or the band would have eventually moved out to California to pursue it?
I think well Corey already lived in LA. So I
Oh,
always knew that LA was gonna be my like next kind of move because also like all the Surf Curse people were in LA. And I was just like, I should just be here. Cause there was like a time if the pandemic didn't happen, I would have went back to New York and moved to LA. Like I was already planning on going to LA, but just because of the pandemic happened, I was just like, I don't want to live in a big city. I want to live somewhere small for a little bit while this thing passes over. I'll just go to New Mexico. And so like that was just kind of New Mexico is my in between spot, you know.
I wouldn't say right in the middle, but I understand in
Yeah,
between.
yeah.
Right.
Still flyover country.
Yeah, yeah. Albuquerque, Santa Fe, these places.
Yeah, flyover.
Yeah, name another one.
There's a place called Truth and Consequences. There's a place called
I'm pretty sure that's a game. Continue.
there's Madrid. There's Taos. There's Abiquiu. There's Silver Springs. There's Las Vegas, New Mexico. There's a lot of cities there.
So that
Alamogordo, Ruidoso. I could go on and on and on.
man, you really know the geography of this place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, New Mexico's cool. I haven't
yeah.
spent
It's
a lot
great.
of time there, but yeah.
Yeah,
You said albatross was one of them.
Abiquiu.
Abiquiu.
Yeah,
Albatross is the fish, I believe.
Albatross is that Fleetwood Mac song.
Maybe a Fleetwood Mac.
Isn't
um,
albatross a bird?
albatross is like a fish, I think, but albatross is might be a Fleetwood Mac. Um,
I thought it was a bird. I
maybe
don't
it's
know.
both.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. Who knows? I have no idea.
We're not gonna look it up. We're just gonna live with
I'm looking
this.
it up. It's a bird.
Okay, okay. You are. Is it now? Is it's not a fish then? If it's a bird.
It's a bird.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were correct. Let me take this time for the people. You were correct, Noah. I apologize. I was in the wrong. I hope we can move forward.
I'll just make a mental note of it.
Yeah, definitely jot it down. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
keep that. Yeah, keep
Yeah.
that in there.
I'm gonna like see you in public and roast you so hard.
Looking forward to it. I'll see it
Yeah.
permanent. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you moved to LA, did you feel like the music scene was different than New York in a way, or was it kind of similar?
I felt like I felt like felt more I felt like I belonged more here musically than New York. Um, and I think that has to amount to people take I don't know because I don't want to like bash on New York because New York there's a lot of great musicians and people there. But I found the area that I was in there was like a more like kind of like professional seriousness about it that I never was like really around. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think also like sonically, I was like more drawn to like these like West Coast sounds
Hmm.
and stuff. And yeah, but then I also like found out that like I don't feel like I fit in anywhere. So it's like
Where do you
and
go? Right.
yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
Do you feel like you got that impression that you felt like, oh yeah, this is where I belong because of living in New York, having spent time in New York, that you're like, oh, California is where I needed to be as opposed to being in New York.
I think there was like this like thing where I like was in New York and then I moved to New Mexico and that's pure isolation. And then LA kind of is like both. Like you get to go out and like have like your fun and then you can like chill here too. And also like there's the whole like Western thing about it, like the West Coast and like how big and expansive it is. And I feel like there's a lot more room to breathe. Um, in a comfortable living situation, all that stuff. You know,
Right.
it kind of it gives me I feel like the best of both worlds. Obviously, I miss New York. I miss being able to walk outside and get a $3 bacon, egg, and cheese. I miss stuff like that. But like, I'm happy here right now. You know,
Right. The bagels do not have the salt water,
it doesn't have the water. Yeah,
right, which is I've heard is a big thing.
yeah. I'll order my bagels from New York and have them shipped over here.
Right. And you just order them from like Einstein.
Zabar, Zabars.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that I'm getting my bagels from the good place. So
Yeah, you gotta go, or you can go to zabars.com and order bagels from them. Then it comes the next day. In this like and they you can order the cream cheese and everything and it comes in a cooler.
yeah, but you could just get cream cheese here though. No,
I
I
know, but it's
mean,
different.
all right. I'll take your word for it. And the bacon and the egg.
The bacon you can buy here, that's okay.
Okay, what about the egg?
The egg, you gotta go find them.
It is here, but it's rare.
It's rare, yeah, you gotta go find them.
And the cheese?
The cheese can come from anywhere.
Oh, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
there's levels to this.
Yeah, there's levels to the proper bacon, egg, and cheese.
Well, I'm learning a lot this episode.
Yeah.
Uh, um, did you guys play a show as Color Green in while in New Mexico or even in New York?
No, our first show was in Joshua Tree on Halloween of 2019. and we weren't even called Color Green. We were called something else, and I can't even remember what we were called. And and then the first Color Green show was at Zebulon in 2021 or 2022. I think it was 2022. And we played with Group and Monday UFO, and that was our first show. And then there was like different various forms of lineups. We did a tour with Fuzz. We did a tour with Circles Around the Sun. We opened for Kikagaku Moyo, and we kind of finally last year we have the full 4-piece band that is the band that's me and Corey Madden, and then Kyla Perlmutter is on bass, and Corey Rose on drums. That's the band.
Yeah, and I mean that unit it seems so locked in. I mean, even from the previous night that I saw you guys, you guys were yeah
Yeah,
on the same level.
yeah. We all have very similar music tastes, and we all are obsessed with each other. And it's been a lot. We've been working a lot and working hard, and I really am so grateful to be in a group with them.
Where did the name come from? Color
Color
Green.
Green. It kind of was given to us by the universe. I don't know where it came from. It got pulled out of the mist.
As band names do.
And it's the perfect umbrella
Right.
for what we can do sonically under the band name.
Mhm. Did you feel like, or do you feel like this current lineup now is what you and Corey wanted from the beginning, like a really tight group?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But we didn't know until we had it, you know.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
just once you were in, like, oh, this is what we've been searching for. This is what we needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
It's
it
very
took some
awesome.
acceptance too. It was like because it was different, you know. But
Uh,
we kind of like, like we were like kind of like, what are we? And then we just were like, we're not, like, we started getting pigeonholed as this like Americana cosmic country bullshit, and we were like, we're not that. And then we were kind of like, oh, we're like a rock band, and like we like rock music, and uh and then we were like, we should, I don't know, we became just a dynamic rock band that has a very like emphasis on dynamics, and like being able to play really softly and play really loud, and like having like a whole platter of sonic exploration to kind of dip our paintbrushes in, and make it these different color palettes.
right. When somebody asks you just in passing, oh, what kind of music do you make? What is your response to that?
I just say rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing. Yeah.
So they say, oh, like Elvis, and you go, exactly.
Say no, we sound like I don't know. Yeah, like Elvis. Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever they say, like, as usual, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, it's only covers of Elvis, actually.
Avenged Sevenfold. Yeah, we sound like Avenged Sevenfold. Yeah.
I did get a hint of that the other night. I said, wow, these
Nice.
guys are, I mean, they are really just copy and paste from Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
Um, when you were working on these, on the EP and the LP, did you find yourself working alone more, or working with Corey, or was somebody else kind of to develop
I
these?
think it was like a little bit of everything. Um, Definitely worked with Corey a lot. I am all about the creative collaboration. I work
Mhm.
the best that way. I don't like, I get in my head if I'm by myself doing shit. So that's like, we tend to work best as a unit.
Right.
Um, but lyrics, I write lyrics by myself usually. But I also like kind of wait for the divine inspiration to come. And it'll be like short bouts where it's like, oh, like here's all this stuff, and then like 5 minutes go by, and I'm like, that's it, I'm tapped out. I like go and do other shit.
But at least that 5 minutes happened though. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
that's what's important.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, do you do lyrics ever come while putting together instrumentation?
yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, absolutely. They come in all different ways. Sometimes what I like to do is I like doing the stream of conscious thing and just like kind of let it blubber out of my silly little mouth, and then I'll do some editing, um, you know, and moving things around, and kind of, and then I'm like, what is this song about? and then I have to like kind of like, I like writing in a way that's like kind of like so drenched in metaphor that it can be like up to interpretation, you know.
right.
But then there's also some songs that I feel like I've written that are like very like kind of like straightforward and exposing.
Mhm. It's like it's pretty on the ball of there's no reading between the lines on it. It's this is about this.
Yeah,
Avenged Sevenfold style.
Avenged Sevenfold style rock and roll.
Right, right. Um, do you often improvise while performing live? Is that like a key component?
Yeah, absolutely. Almost everything. They're like, obviously there's written parts, but each song kind of has an improvised section in the songs. I don't ever play the same thing once. I feel
Mhm.
like I play variations of it, and I think everybody's kind of like that.
Right.
And yeah,
Uh,
it's like literally I throw shit at a wall
and
and
if it
see what.
works, it works. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about live color green shows is like you don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen on stage, so you
Or
know,
out in the crowd with
yeah,
some
people
makeout
could be
sessions.
making out or hitting each other. I don't know, whatever. I don't know what happens in the crowd. I'm not. The other thing with color green is I'm not focused on the crowd ever. I'm like more like focused on the band. Like I'm always like with them, you know.
And is that the way you are with when playing with other or when you have been playing with other bands like Surf Curse, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at surf curse shows, you got to be a little bit more aware of what's going on in the crowd because, like, it's like uh, uh, can get violent sometimes. So you have to like kind of like do crowd monitoring and like checking in and making sure people are okay and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know?
But it's much more mellow at a color green show.
Yeah,
Just crowd killing.
yeah, yeah. People just walk out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just straight from the books of Avenged Sevenfold. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, when you're improvising during a song, does it ever lead to an idea for another song, or when you're performing live in a certain improvisational thing that you've done, would that
Yeah,
lead
I feel
to?
like I feel like things happen where like more so. Yeah, like a lot of like jam segments that we have had in the past have turned into songs. That like we've like kind of like shaped them into songs. And then there's also this really cool thing that happens when the parts in songs change over time. Like the other day, like I was like playing guitar and I was like, oh, like this could be in this song now. Like, and it works and it'll sound cool. And like, there's always like things that's, like I said, things that stick and things that don't.
Hmm, right.
Yeah.
So you would hold on to an idea that you think could be used for a separate that if it's not baked into something that it was supposed to be in, will it
Yeah.
eventually make its way into something else?
Yeah.
How did you feel when both the EP and the LP were released into the public and people started checking it out and listening and getting a feel for color green?
I mean, it felt great. It's like, it's cool. And, I've got to meet a lot of cool people who are, you know, in a similar mindset, and it feels great. I don't have anything more to say about it. I feel like it's like just awesome. Yeah.
Noah, I really do appreciate you coming on here, sir.
Yeah. Thanks
I'm
for
I'm, I'm
talking.
so glad we were able to finally work this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
But before I let you go, I got some promo to do here. So
Okay. Go for it.
the EP and the LP, both these that we were just talking about, are streaming everywhere. Wherever you get your music, that's where you can find it, right? Everything's everywhere.
Yeah.
Cool. And they're also available through the Bandcamp to buy, which is at colorgreen.bandcamp.com. And is there another place people can buy it as well through these?
Yeah, you can just go to colorgreenband.com too.
Hmm.
Our website. We have a website.
Yeah, and that's where the merch is as well.
There is some merch on there. Yeah.
Perfect. And again, that's colorgreenband.com. And everybody can stay up to date with news and shows and all that fun stuff by following the band on Instagram, right? Is that the best place?
Yeah, that's the best place.
Cool. And that's at Color Green on Instagram.
Hmm.
And do we have anything else to promote before we?
Um, no, I mean, just stay tuned. There's some things coming that I can't talk about yet, but there's things in the works that are coming out that you'll see soon.
And if you want to hear me get that information out of Noah, yeah, join us on Patreon because it's behind the paywall, and it's
Yeah, it'll be
only
behind, if it's behind the paywall, we can talk about it.
yeah, it's behind the paywall, and it's only $500 a week, and it's like that's a good deal for all this juicy content.
Yeah, you get all the LA rumors.
All of them. We're talking about people we like, people we don't like, people who we used to like that we don't now. All that fun stuff is behind the Patreon wall. Noah, thank you again for coming on, sir. I'm gonna stop recording this and I'll talk to you in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.